Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Rachel Klein, and I will be your presenter today. Today, we are talking about New Year prep steps in the donations module. So a couple things about donations specifically. There really is nothing that you have to do to be able to prep for the new year. There are things that we recommend or things you might want to consider looking into to prep for the new year, but again, there's nothing, no specific procedure or process that you have to run through to open the new year or anything like that. Donations is always continuous. So if you're familiar with the accounting module, there is actually a process to end the year, open up a new year, close the year if you want to, all those things. Donations doesn't have anything like that. So you basically just continue working through. Once your computer clock changes to the first of the new year, the only really big difference that you're going to notice is the different date filters that you're going to see on your screens in donations. What I mean by that is, for example, when you open up Browse Donations is always going to default to show you the date range for the current year that we're in. So once January hits, this date range is automatically going to default to 2025. Okay, so if you have donations that you find you need to go back and make corrections to once we're in 2025, you will need to hit the change dates filter sort button and go back and change your year back to the previous year. Okay, a lot of the screens and donations are set up that way. So when our clocks change on our computers to the year for 2025, if you find you have changes in 2024 you need to make, you're going to always be looking for this change dates or a filter option to go back to the previous year. Same thing with running donation statements. Donation statements is always going to look at the current period, which is fine for now, but if you go to run your donation statements come January, you need to make sure you hit the minus year button, and that's going to easily jump you back from 2025, because that's the new default, to 2024. Okay, so there is no changing of years, no swapping of years other than using the filter within the individual screens that you're working in. Okay. Giver numbers. Giver numbers is a big topic that we like to cover with our prepping for the new year option. If you don't use giver numbers, this isn't going to pertain to you this next bit. But if you do use giver numbers and you like to do cleanup at the end of the year in preparation for the new year, or you like to go in and kind of reorganize your numbers, you can do that now in 2024, but not have it take effect until the new year starts. So for example, on the Enter Donation screen, this giver box is always going to default to the date on your computer. So if you change new numbers for next year, when you come to your machine January 1st and you go to put in donations, the giver numbers that you see in this screen are going to be, let me put a date in here, specific to the date on your computer down here. Okay, so just keep in mind, if you do switch new numbers starting the first of the year, that is driven by the date on your computer. Okay, so long story short, the day you're sitting at the machine is going to be that date that you're going to see reflected in donations, unless you change the filter. Okay, I feel like I've beat that proverbial horse a little bit too much, but it is really important for being clear in donations. Okay. All right, let's talk about giver numbers. On page 1, the first section, it talks about stopping the use of giver numbers. If you find you don't want to use giver numbers at all, you just want to quit using them, or you have people who no longer need a number within the new year. A couple different ways you can go about doing that. Up here at the top under Givers, click on Manage Numbers. Manage Numbers is a really good screen that allows you to see people's giver numbers when they take effect and the dates they've incurred for that giver number specifically. So looking here, we can see here's everyone currently who has a giver number, when their number also started in effect for them. If you find you want to end numbers for certain people. You can simply click in here, put in an end date. If you want to do the last day of the year, simply put that in their end date box, or make this just a skosh wider. Or you can come over here and you can hit the little minus sign. The minus sign is going to give you a little bit more options for how you want to stop the number. So if I hit the minus sign here on Carolyn, I can decide, do I want to delete giver number 5? If I choose to delete her number, that is going to completely remove this line for Carolyn. So any history of her having number 5 will be gone if I choose to delete it, which might be fine. It's up to you. Or we can choose the option to stop using the giver number, which is what we did for Nina. If you decide you want to stop the giver number on a specific date, you can do that. So if we leave, say, today's date, for example, and I say okay, her number is in effect from 9/9/2013 to 11/5/2024. Okay, so if we come back into the computer tomorrow on the 6th, Carolyn will no longer have number 5, but she will have it through the end of today. Now, if I wanted to give number 5 to someone else, I could very easily do that, but number 5 could not start on my new person until the 6th because Carolyn has it through the end of the 5th. Okay, so that kind of leads us on to page 2 here. If you want to go in and change numbers one by one, this is how you would do that. You would put in an end date for when you want the number to start. And then you would come up in here, you would find the new person who needs the giver number. You would hit add new number. And let's say we want number 34 to start 1/1/2025. Again, it's defaulting to our current year. Change it to the future date, see if it's available. Say okay. Now, to see that future number, you have to come up here to the top and check the future box. You can uncheck current if you want to. And then you're going to see, let's go back up here. Oh, I sorted it the wrong way. Sorry, let me fix that. Right up here at the top, we have Karen starting with number 34, 1/1/2025. So that's where this future checked box has to be checked to see any numbers that start after today's date. Okay, so that's if you just have one by one numbers you need to end. Say you have people leaving or they've passed away throughout the year, their numbers have freed up, and you're going to go back through and kind of fill them in or pop them in. You can easily do that by setting the end date and then adding the new number. As long as your dates don't overlap, it's going to be fine. Okay. All right. Another option is the auto assign screen. I have done a very in-depth webinar on the auto assign. Feel free to go out to the webinar screen and check that out if you want to. But up here at the top, givers, auto assign number. This message is normal. It's just letting you know no one else can make adjustments to giver numbers while you're working in here. Say okay. And what this screen allows you to do, a couple things. It allows you to end numbers for everyone, if that's something you want to do. Or it allows you to kind of reorganize your list. I have a lot of people I talk to that like giver numbers to start at 1, and they like it to assign alphabetically. So A through Z starting at 1, they want everyone in a good order. You can do that as well here through the auto assign screen. Again, if you want super detailed information, watch that webinar, or feel free to follow the steps here in the document that I attached. Really, really good step-by-step instructions for that. But basically, if you decide you want to end numbers for everyone, you can set the new number starting date. So this screen will jump to the new year. And then down here at the bottom, you have two options. You can reset to current number, which it already is because we haven't done anything yet, which isn't necessary for this. But you can set end selected numbers. If you click that, that is a mass change you are able to make to the database. It's going to assign everyone an end date of the last day of this year. and it's going to go in and it's going to have a completely blank new number starting on column because you are no longer using giver numbers. If this is in fact what you want to do, save and close, and then all your numbers will continue, but they will be done 12/31/2024. Once you get on your computer the 1st of January, you come in here, no one will have a giver number any longer. Okay? I am going to cancel and close, and we're going to come back in. And we're going to do kind of a quick version of an auto reassignment. So filtering out up here at the top, this is where you specify who you want to see in the list below. Who are you wanting to assign numbers to? Givers with current numbers, givers with no numbers, inactive givers, they're not showing. Children, so anyone with a direct report order of 3, I'm going to turn that off. I don't really want numbers for kids. Membership groups, no thank you. Or givers numbers whose last number ended on 12/31. I'm going to say no thank you to that as well. Okay. Giver sort. So how do we want these numbers sorted? Right now it's sorting by their current giver number. I want them sorted alphabetically, so I'm going to swap that to name, and I'm going to hit apply sort. Now it's going to clean up my list a little bit. Now if we look here, you can see we are sorted in alphabetical order. I'm going to check this box on the left because I want to include every single person. If you find there's someone you don't want to include, you can simply uncheck this select box off to the right. If you want to assign a range, you can do that here. I want to start with number 1, and I want it to start 1/1/2025. So I'm simply going to hit assign selected. They will be sorted by name. Verify that's what we want. I'm going to say assign. Now, if we look at the new number starting column, you can see starting at 1, I do have some duplicates. That's the numbers I probably played with earlier. And it's going all the way through the end of the year. Okay. That looks perfect. That's what you want. You're going to do save and close for your numbers. Okay. Now, again, you kind of have to decide, do you want to reorganize your giver numbers or not? There is absolutely no reason that would require you to go in and update and reorganize your numbers every year. If you have, Betty, and Betty's been number 3 since she started at the church 20 years ago, leave her as number 3. There's nothing that says you need to go in and change giver numbers. As people leave or numbers become available, just grab those new people and slip them in at those numbers where they are available. Something else to consider, anytime you are making a massive change to your database, updating giver numbers to me is a pretty massive change to the data. If that's something you're going to want to do, make a backup first. It takes about 2 seconds. You can easily make a backup of your database. And then if you find, I really don't like what happened with the giver numbers, if that's the case, fine, then you can just restore that backup that you've made as well. Okay. All right, so once your giver numbers look good, you can then, if we go on to page 3, you can then print labels. Not everybody needs labels when they print or when they redo giver numbers, but a lot of people we talk to like to print labels with giver numbers on them, and then they can stick them on envelope boxes. You can easily do that here in donations as well. Up at the top, you go to reports and export, lists and labels, go to labels. You can edit this people selection criteria and say you only want to include people who have a number. So get rid of the check to include those without. Say OK. Over here on the right, you're going to say use giver numbers current as of. So if you want to see those new numbers for next year reflected on the label, we're going to do 01/01/2025 because that's when our new numbers are taking effect. And then we're going to go to the sort tab. Again, you can sort if you want to choose, if you want to, you can choose, if you want to sort by their giver number specifically. You can sort by their name. Might not matter if they're both the same. You could do zip code. Again, it's up to you. Hit next, and that's where we're going to get to step 2. And then step 2 is where we have to set up a label layout that's going to include that giver number field because we want to see that number print on the label. So I'm going to go down here to my template. I'm using Avery 5160. I'm going to hit new. And then once you set up this 5160 label or whatever size you're using, you'll be able to reuse it from each year to year. So all I'm going to do is scooch this box down a little bit. I'm making some room up here for my giver number field that I want to add. So I'm going to go over to the right and I am looking for membership field. Click and hold on that. Drag it over. I'm just going to drop it right where I want that giver number to display. As soon as you drop that field, you have to tell the software what information do you want to print in that field. So that's where I want giver number. So I'm going to scroll down, choose giver number. I'm going to say OK. So now I have a field here that's going to print their mailing label and their current address, so their family name and their address, and then their giver number is going to go here. Do a save as. I like to leave the size of the label in the name. And then I cannot type. And then I like to include what is on the label itself. So I know which one I need to choose. Say OK. Top right, hit the X to close out of the designer. And now if we look in our layout box, here is that layout we just made. You can use it again next year. One label per. Make sure you choose giving unit. And then we're going to go ahead and hit print. And this is then in number order, going to give us all of our people that have a giver number for 1/1/2025.